It is 6:32 on November the 7th, 2021, and I call this meeting to order. We will do the roll call first. Mayor Pro Tem Villalobos,
Here.
Councilmember Bunker.
Here.
Councilmember Shell Allen.
Here.
Councilmember McLeod.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton.
Here.
And Mayor Glaze, and I'm right here. If you all would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then remain standing for the Texas flag, please. And is I
Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And please remain standing. I'd like to introduce you to my pastor from the Martindale Baptist Church, Gary Clements, and he's going to do the invocation tonight.
I just want to thank all of you for your service to Martindale. Father, I come to you in the name of the Lord Jesus, and I just thank you tonight for all your blessings in our life. I thank you for this season coming up, the birth of your son. I pray that each of us would have the right reason for this season. Lord, I thank you for these men and women that serve Martindale. And I pray tonight, Lord, that you give them wisdom. I pray you give them understanding and knowledge of you and of your ways. I pray that, like James said, when we lack wisdom, that we just ask of you and that you give to all men liberally. And I pray that you would give wisdom to each one of these as we make decisions in our community about the ways we should go and what we should do. Lord, I pray that also that you would just give these people special character with kindness and honesty and integrity with one another and with the work that you give them to do. I pray for your leadership, and I pray for your courage, Lord, for each one of them to stand for what's right. Lord, I pray for your guidance, and I pray these things, believing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Tonight, before we go any further, we are going to have a special presentation from our librarians, Carol Zavini and Ashley. I'm sorry, Ashley, I don't know your last name. It's Guerrero. Guerrero, yeah. Okay. And you're giving an annual report? Is
Yes,
that what-
ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All yours.
Okay, and hello everyone. I just wanted to say hi. I'm Ashley Guerrero. I'm the new librarian here at Martindale. And I just wanted to say too off the bat, thank you so much for welcoming me to your community. I absolutely love it. I've been here now for a little over 2 months and I'm having a wonderful time. So thank you. So first off, Carol and I would like to start off by mentioning our mission statement. And and it goes as the Martindale Community Library shall endeavor to be a center for community life and learning, offering people of all ages free and open access to information resources, programs, and technology, reflecting the population of Martindale and its surrounding areas. So one thing that we wanted to mention right off the bat is the library offers a number of benefits for our patrons of the community. First off, being free library use with a library card. And we did want to make mention of the fact too that a lot of the surrounding areas such as San Marcos, Lockhart, Austin, Kyle, Buda, they all charge Martindale residents a fee to have a library card. And so that's also what makes this library is so invaluable to our patrons here, is that it is completely free access. With our library, we provide books, magazines, DVD accessibility. We also have a very substantial ebook collection. And so we use both Overdrive, which we pay to be a part of, and that actually provides us with thousands of ebooks and e-materials. And then we also are part of a free service, which is Simply E, and they also provide us e-materials as well at a smaller scale. And then also our TechShare databases, which we pay to be a part of. They provide both personal resources for just anybody going online if you're looking for genealogical materials, or if you're a student at a university, they provide a number of invaluable student resources. One being the Credo Resource Center, and basically they have subjects from the humanities to earth sciences, and just a lot of great information for students writing research papers. And then, of course, also we provide a lot of technological access to computers, printers, scanners, and the internet as well. And so we like to view ourselves as a community information hub. And anytime we have an event going on, whether it's our market days or just the downtown lighting event, we will have a number of people call throughout the week just to get more information about the event going on. And so I really like that because it keeps us a part of the community and it keeps us connected. Okay, and as for our library assistants, sorry, I got a little wordy. We have pre-K story time, which has been one of our most invaluable programs that we offer. Now, since COVID, we are trying to kind of rebuild back up. Before COVID, I was made aware that we were actually having a pretty good turnout with our kids and their parents attending. And of course, COVID has affected everybody's lives in different ways. The purpose of our story time is to allow parent and child interaction, and it's also to help prepare children for when they enter the public school setting. And so one thing that I love being a mother of 3, my youngest right now is 5 months and my little boy is 4 years old. This program targets him especially because basically what Carol has done is she has implemented an educational curriculum, which really does help prepare the child for what they'll need to know moving into kindergarten. And then also to an added benefit is the parents get to come together and interact with one another in that setting as well, which is wonderful. Our library staff has aided those residents without internet, computers, and printers. We offer a free tax aid service, FEMA applications, water disbursement, especially after the February ice storm. And one thing too that I wanted to make note of was during this time, Carol continued maintaining the library and making sure that she was providing resources to patrons who were desperately in need of them. The library assists visitors that are coming into Martindale looking for Martindale photos and genealogical resources, things of that nature, restaurants, homes for rent, real estate, and many other reference requests. And last but not least, we did end up hosting 4 COVID clinics over the past few months, the last one being Saturday, November 13th, I believe. And this was done in conjunction with, or in partnership with Vaccine Action Collaborative and Walgreens Pharmacy. They were the ones that were administering the vaccines. Those receiving the vaccines were entered into a drawing, and so they received gift cards and they also received a freebies bag. The clinics were attended by many people from surrounding areas such as Reedville, Fentress, and Maxwell. And overall, we had a very good turnout. Now, a little bit about our programming. With permission from Jared, our city administrator, and Dig Together USA, that is a group that we, a nonprofit organization that we typically partner up with occasionally. The library has planted wildflower seeds throughout the state parks and open areas, and this is really to help kind of beautify the area. A grant has also been awarded to increase the seeds available for next spring as well, so we're really looking forward to that. And speaking of seeds, we do have a free seed library, which has become available to residents of the area. And this will encourage personal gardening and is also a nod to the fact that Martindale used to be the hybrid seed capital of Texas, which I've heard a lot about. We did have internationally known artist, Augustine Chavez, who is phenomenal. He ended up painting the seed library for us, the seed library home for us. So we currently have that housed at the library. So anybody who is interested to come over and take a peek at it, it's amazing. And we also had Danzantes Mexicas come in and they blessed the Seed Library through dance, which was amazing. And it was very well received. We did end up having close to 100 people attend. And last but not least, we did have a summer reading program. It was implemented 2 years ago by Carol, and this past year, it expanded to include adult participation as well. The library has given gift card awards for those who have reached their reading goals. And we've also focused on our children's programming during the summer, which has included ecosystems, author visits, and arts and crafts, in addition to our story time programs. Okay, and a little bit for our technology. We have ended up adding Wi-Fi extenders to downtown Martindale, which has allowed our internet to be shared with everybody who visits downtown. It's really nice sometimes to see people, I'm assuming they're students, they'll be seated out over in the pavilion area, hard at work. During this last year, fiber optic lines were brought to the library as well through a federal E-rate grant, which will allow for faster speed. So that now puts us at 1 gigabyte. And then we also have new gaming computers that have been added through grants to update all of our library equipment. And so we currently have 3 new gaming quality computers at the library. And just a little side anecdote. At our downtown lighting recently, we had a young man come in. He's visiting from San Marcos. The first thing he said when he walked through the doors and he came back and saw the computers, he was so excited. He told me that he would never be able to afford a type of computer like this at home. And so he proceeded to sit down and play for a little while. And it was really nice. Before he left, he told me that he had a great time and that he's going to be coming back soon. So it was very nice. And also too, now that the library is fully open to the public again, people are coming in to use our technology more and more. So moving over to a little bit of our library extras, this is also including some of our programming because that's such a big part of our library here. We normally take part in the 4th of July parade and its planning every year. And we are also instrumental in the Santa visits. We provide planning, candy bags for the children, and writing letters from Santa to the children who submitted the letters. Basically all of our response letters. And the library will be the library co-sponsored a spring fling kite day, with Sonia Villalobos to get parents outside and moving while also social distancing. In addition to the library providing, I believe it was 30 kites. There were also several arts and crafts activities that the children and parents took home with them. And over 100 people attended this event as well. And through the pre-K story time, children were introduced to many more educational concepts, humanities, social integration, and cultural celebrations throughout the year. So we really want, I know we already mentioned story time, but we really want to bring the point home that this is an incredibly important program for us to have. Okay, and so now this is a little bit about our grants. I'm not as knowledgeable in this area as Miss Carol is. Okay, so because of the contract between the City of Martindale and our library, the library has accredited status in the state, which allows us to go after competitive bids. This is huge for us because we bring in so much, especially now with Carol working as our grants administrator. We have brought in so much money this year since we're allowed to actually go after these grants. So it has been a blessing. Last year, the library was able to add $13,215 worth of materials and equipment to the library that we would not have been able to add with the library's current budget if we hadn't received that grant. In 2020, grant money was given for the 3 new gaming computers that I already mentioned, 8 laptops, 6 iPads, additional books and DVDs to increase our interaction between our parents and our children. And then also our pre-K storytime equipment, we were able to update some of the equipment, order new materials, and also the seeds to be dispersed at the parks. And additionally, the library federal E-rate, which this only goes to accredited libraries. So if we were not accredited, we would not be able to seek this particular grant. It was responsible for providing fiber optic internet to not only the library, but also the downtown area, as we mentioned previously. The library posts the password for the public out on the front door, in case anybody is curious about that.
They also give that to City Hall.
Yes.
We have a special group, section for y'all this year.
Thank you, Carol. Of course, so that, as she just mentioned, City Hall and City Council have a more secure portion of this. The E-rate would cost us $19,080. However, due to our demographics, we actually only pay $1,908 due to the fact that we were accredited as well. So that is wonderful. And then in 2021, or at least so far this year, we have applied for 9 grants, and we have received 6 grants for over $85,000. Additionally, we have requested TSLAC, which is our state library governing body. We've requested TSLAC to retain our previous year's MOE due to the lack of funding, and was granted that request. And so we have our numbers here. And so basically this $85,144, that's how much money we have received in total from these grants, from these 6 grants so far. And then the $17,172, that number is if we had to pay the original, the E-rate cost, the full cost for the fiber optics.
So what that did is it took what y'all gave to the library, gave us accreditation. We've taken that money, we've expanded it through the grants. We've quadrupled what y'all gave us and made it, we expanded out the money so that it benefited Martindale a lot more.
Question.
Mhm.
That last sentence, it says requested retainer previous due to lack of fundraising, was it granted? Okay, it says
Yes.
and was granted.
It was
Okay.
granted, yes.
Okay.
They pulled back considerably on our MOE so that we did not have to, because of COVID, our money that we spent was way far beyond what we actually needed. And so they take last year's amount and then they add to it. So we requested to back up 2 years because we haven't been able to fundraise. And they granted that request, so our MOE is still low.
Okay.
I had a question about you did mention the 17,172 is the difference, but how come it's added twice? It's,
one for 1 year and one for the next.
I see.
So 2019, so that you could get an idea of how we're taking that accreditation and we're going more for grants to get more. Once we get when you start going after the grants, they want to know how viable you are.
Mm.
So you have to start small and getting those small grants. And then you go to the next year and you go for more grants because you said, I've gotten a grant here, I've gotten a grant there, and we have good relationships with these other foundations.
Mm.
So it helps us tremendously and we hope to grow even more next year.
So are these the 6 grants that you were granted?
Mhm.
Were they like the ones you were already listing, like the
We got-
ebooks and stuff like, no, there's
No, I
stuff.
didn't even put the ebooks in
Oh, okay.
because that's even more.
Yeah.
That we have brought in. We got one from Native American Seed, the San Marcos Lions Club gave us 2, Humanities Texas gave us 1. Some of these I cannot give information on because we have not signed the MOU.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, the MOU, and they want that you have to announce it in certain ways.
Okay.
Tech Share, we were given a small grant with that one. TSLAC, the Digital Navigator, was huge. That was, we had applied earlier in the year for 20,000, and we went through we didn't get it on that one. We, for 20,000, but it turned out better because we got it at 70. We were the highest
Wow.
ranked city or library in the state on that one.
Mhm.
And then we have 2 more outs, 2 more out,
2 still outstanding.
2 still outstanding, and one of them is a good one. Y'all hope it
Good.
comes through.
Good luck.
Okay, and so for our future plans, this first one is talking a little bit about me, so I'm just going to kind of run through it. In October of 2021, I was hired on to replace Carol, and I'm very happy to say that Carol has decided to stay on as our grants administrator, which I'm thrilled about. Just a little background about me. I have my MSIS from UT, and I have been working in libraries for close to a decade now. It's my dream job. I absolutely love it. In 2022, there are plans to continue library participation in our citywide celebrations, such as the July 4th parade and the downtown tree lighting. Our current plans include another kite flying day, a Hispanic heritage celebration, and we are really hoping to bring in the Danzantes Mexicas again. They were phenomenal. We would like to do a Veterans Day tribute as well. And we are also going to be providing the free AARP tax aid again. We're still in talks with the Vaccine Action Collaborative about future COVID clinics in the area. And as for our reoccurring programming, our pre-K story time, it was on a bit of a hiatus for a while. We have started that up again. And also our summer reading program will continue as well this year. Several outreach programs that we are mulling over will include the Lockhart Prison, Little Libraries, and surrounding communities without library services currently, technology classes, and we are also looking at some other adult education and GED classes for the future. And most importantly, we will begin pursuing a library district, and this will involve a vote by the population of Caldwell County Precinct 3. This will be part of the November election. And last but not least, the bottom line is I would really like to say thank you so much. We're very appreciative of to the city of Martindale for the money that they dedicate to us every year and for the contract to the commitment that they have made. That is one of the many components required by the Texas Code for an accredited public library. So we would not be where we're at without y'all. So thank you very much. And again, I just wanted to reiterate our mission. Is to serve the population of Martindale and its surrounding areas by providing access to library materials, technology, programming to benefit the community as a whole, service and community events, education of the residents, and outreach to those in need. And it is also a commitment of the library staff, volunteers, and library board to move forward to open our doors to further benefit this community in the future. And then also, as a final note, by having an accredited library, we have pursued grants, thereby quadrupling, as Carol had mentioned, the return on the investment or ROI of the city. And there is no doubt that COVID has had a tremendous impact on this community, as well as other communities in the area. But we do feel that we have overcome many obstacles that have come our way, and we've used the city's contribution to maximize the use for Martindale. The citizens are not dependent on another city to charge our residents for services our own city can furnish. And the awarding of these grants is proof from other professional entities that the Martindale Community Library is a viable and outstanding library worthy of recognition. Do you have any questions?
Yes, are you bilingual? Do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito. Let me see. Necesito, I'm too nervous. Estoy muy nerviosa. Yes, my husband's from Mexico. And so I'm becoming more conversational in Spanish. I'm really working on it. I should be fluent by now because I've been with my husband for over almost 10 years. I've really been working on it. So, yeah.
You did mention the Hispanic Heritage Celebration, that was well received. And I was going to suggest perhaps with your propensity to want to learn more Spanish, that maybe you could do some pre-K or things for the children in the Hispanic community, like something that would be just Spanish speaking, reading of books or something, perhaps?
We do bilingual.
Yes, yes.
If we don't do specifically, we'll do it in both languages.
Okay.
Please come by and see it sometime.
Yeah. You mentioned too about people come in and ask you about restaurants, homes for rent or sale, and you assist visitors, do you have a list or do you immediately just go on the computer and look for a home for sale or for rent?
We look for realtors. We'll say if we know of anything, but it's not our profession. So we recommend realtors.
Mhm.
We have realtors cards in the library.
And I have been into the library myself and asked for historical information, say on the Martindale family. Carol has helped me out with that a lot. So I really appreciate that. And I think being in the library, it's very important to bring up, as you mentioned, the historical aspects of us being the capital seed of the world and all that. But maybe we could learn more about that and maybe create more museum type things on the walls or bags that are framed. I know you have a Harper seed bag frame
And a
there.
Martindale seed company.
Okay.
And now we have a bag link. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we have a space issue in the library. So it would be nice if we could do some of that, but the space we need now for more library stuff instead of this work until we move, get a bigger building.
Ashley, I got a question for you. A citizen made this suggestion. I'm just gonna pass it on. You know, we have a fund for my Airbnbs for hotel tax. I was wondering if we could do maybe like a visitor center. You know, at the library, be in the center of the town, and everybody comes here. You know, we have a lot of people on Airbnbs, and we do have funds. I don't know if we can even do this, but people could come in if we got staff there to say, hey, or, you know, here's some brochures, or have a little brochures out for the different restaurants or businesses that come in and talk about the 4th of July or whatever. I think it'd be a great thing to maybe incorporate that.
We do have that.
It could be like, maybe we could advertise it more, maybe visitor center or something, or information or something like that.
We can't use hotel tax for that.
No, what I'm saying is,
But
we could kind of make it separately. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm saying you could maybe have a volunteer, maybe a little table set up in there, and it'd be totally separate from the
They're
library.
saying they can't.
we don't have a lot of room.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
We do have a set of shelves when you come into the library. And within that set of shelves is where we have our information from the city, from the restaurants, our business cards that we have. And we do that.
What I'm saying is, you know, if we could point people that way to say,
It-
you know, in that way, and then also it'd help you guys because y'all have more traffic coming in. Hey, you know, here's the city, you know.
We're currently doing that. And
Yeah,
we do a lot of.
I wasn't aware of that. I mean, but I don't know if we could do that with our hotel. Have a separate, maybe a little entity there, a little booth or something. And that, therefore, we could do dual purpose.
I think in the current physical space that they're occupying, that would be somewhat difficult to do. It's something we can definitely look into.
I'm just saying about it.
Because might be an implication on them, on what that, like their accreditation, if they're a library / visitor center, does that impact their accreditations, impact their grant programs at all? From our standpoint, is that sufficient based on the law? And is that the primary use, and whatever other legal
Well,
considerations might pull? If we had like a large municipal library and like a room or like an attachment to the building was the visitor center, you could enter either space through a common door or something, maybe that would work. But when it's just a room,
Well,
having a desk would qualify.
Councilman McLeod, can I make a statement? In our future plans, we have a 10-year plan. What we would like to see 10 years down the road is a library that is independent financially. Right now, we're the 4th lowest spending library in the state. But we would like to go after a grant where we could have as he said, a pavilion, an area that would be there for the city, that we could have for city council meetings that would be much larger than this. An area that if we had another flood that people could go to, and it would be connected to the library, but that's 10 years down the road before we could probably get that. It is something we'll be going after because we see how valuable that would be to this city.
So I think,
A conference area.
so one of the future agenda items is a hotel tax workshop. I think that might be an appropriate time to explore that option, at least from a city's perspective. And then if it works out with us, then at that point, we can see if it works out with the library.
Because I don't know, when I travel, I go to visitor center, you know, and that's the first thing I go
Well,
to. That's the first thing I
something
go
that we
to.
can Discuss it. at
Well, I'm just
hotel.
gonna say one thing and I'm done, but I go to a visitor center. Where do you go for the, you know, what's the sites to do? And I think it could be a great combination, just a suggestion.
It'd be nice to have flyers here. for the
Okay,
city.
that's it.
Well, we love our little library.
And by the way, I have always supported the library. I've always done that, so I'm thinking it's a good thing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to public comments, and I do have one that is written from Irma Garcia, and she lives at 413 FM 1979.
She's here.
Oh, did you
Come on
want
up.
to read?
Come on, Irma. Come on up.
She's got it.
You got it, okay,
Yes, thank you.
you're welcome.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all?
Fine, hi.
Oh, good. Well, I'm happy with everything that's going on here in Martindale. I love to hear the music. I can hear it from my home, and, it just makes me happy to know that we have Martindale alive again. And I just had some concerns on where I live. And I don't know if there's anything can be done here, but I just wanted to report a few things that, happened here in front of our house. I had an incident with a young man that, in front of our house was yelling and kicking a white dog. This happened some time ago, but maybe during the summer. And he was yelling out loud, obscene words. And someone in a red car stopped and asked him, I guess, if everything was okay. He did the same thing to the person in the car. And I could hear, I could hear him yelling out real bad things and throwing his hand, his fingers everywhere. And I called over here, to report it, to see if somebody could go and get it checked. And they told me that I had to call 911. I don't know if that's true or how that, what am I, who do I report things to? I just didn't know what, so I left it alone because I was hoping that somebody else would report it and, somebody else around, I was hoping that the person that had stopped, would report it too. But, I went back inside the house because I didn't want to call 911 because by the time they come, the person's gonna leave. And the dog wasn't bothering him. He was just walking along with, I guess he just wanted to company. And then we had another incident at our house, because where our house is, it's right where the curve is. And we were going to church. It was a Sunday morning, and someone in a trailer, a big pickup truck passed with a trailer in the back, and he lost one of his tires, and the tires went and flew right into, almost into our yard. And it stopped going into our yard because there was a big tree that stopped it. But we've had incidents there, and it worries me because people drive very fast in front of our house. And my mother likes to be out with the plants, and it worries me because we've had incidents cars come into the yard. So I don't know who to talk to about it. I'm presenting it to y'all because I need, help, to tell me where to go, what to do. And then, it's the signs there, the 35 speed limit, nobody is obeying the speed. I mean, they just, seems like once they come down that curve, they just speed real, and the speed limit's right there, right in front of our house. And it says 35, it says 35. And I have one more thing that I wanted to say about my father. He works in the cemetery, and he didn't want to say anything, but he had, my dad always buys his lawnmowers and the weed eaters, everything, to take care of the cemetery. Well, he got it stolen, and both the weed eater and the lawnmower, and he had to buy his own, and he just didn't want to say anything. And I told him that I was gonna present it to y'all just so y'all would know what's going on here, and in his job. And,
When was it stolen?
I'm thinking maybe about a month ago. And, he just didn't want to say anything to anybody. He didn't even want to tell us. But we found out because, he was buying another one and we knew he had everything he needed. And
Where was it stolen at?
from the cemetery, the shed,
Oh, okay.
he
Was
keeps
it,
his things inside the shed. And, we know that it happened during the night because, I think we were going to the doctor the next morning and he saw the door was open. You know, the door from the shed was open and it's dark and it's real dark. There's no, light up there. And, one more little thing, if by chance we could request a trash can for him to have there at the cemetery because, he brings all his trash at home and we have enough, enough in our trash, to, you know, for, it gets full. And that's it. And I appreciate y'all, you know, listening to my concerns. And I hope that y'all can help me out with, especially with the speed limit here and with my dad, with his job, because he loves working in the cemetery, but he didn't want to say anything. But I did. I said, I'm going to say something. He's my father and I worry about him. But thank you. Thank you. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
For contact information on the sheet.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to say anything?
You want to give that one to Sylvia?
No. Can you come talk to me when you're done? Okay. Just when you're finished, we'll finish. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak during public comment? Okay, so we will move on to reports. For mayor's report, I wanted to note that we replaced the 2 flags out front last week. Dwayne did the United States flags and the Texas flags. It cost $90.26. And they were really torn. They're usually wrapped around poles and we didn't realize what bad shape they were. They were in shreds. And then we had Tommy Fudge put the new ones up. We didn't get the COPS grant, so I just wanted to let the council know about that.
What was that? You did?
The COPS grant, we didn't get it.
Oh, you mean to fund another position?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we did not get that. We, on the notes from City Hall, if you noticed, I put a paragraph in there about what we did at the city council meeting last time. We corrected everybody's utility bill. And we had a bunch of complaints before that. And after we did that, and then this little note went out, we didn't get any more complaints about anything. So that really helped. And I wanted to thank the city council for taking care of that. And then December 3rd, I wasn't here, but I heard that that was a really good celebration. I did want to, just for the record, tell the city council what the city did to help with that. We put in the flyers in the utility bills of the route. This one, that flyer, you probably all got one. We put that, we copied it. So the city did pay to copy that bill and we put it in everybody's utility bill. And we hired the police that closed down the roads and things like that. We didn't get porta potties, we thought, for an hour or so. It probably wasn't needed. And then we had Jared on hand and Sonia Villalobos was on hand to help with any problems. And so thank you everyone for making it a success.
can I add one thing? I did contact Donald, the road maintenance supervisor. He left a message, said he will call me tomorrow.
Okay,
So if I hear anything about that overlay, I will definitely pass it on to you guys with an update. But he said you just give me a call.
yeah, our commissioner, Ed Theory Rhodes, 2 weeks ago said that it would be in December, so.
I will follow up.
And in case someone asked me on the sewer bills, then I think we did go on 2020 evaluation numbers instead of 2021.
We
Just
went with the lower of the two.
Whatever was the most beneficial for each individual customer.
okay, good.
Okay, so that's all I have. To Jared.
Yeah, so first up, I want to talk about hiring activities. Many council members might have seen that we posted our job announcement for the chief of police, the permanent chief of police position. We received roughly 40, a little over 40 resumes and applications so far. We continue to get a trickle of one or two nearly every day since. So
Excellent.
we're working our way through it. And we'll talk more about that selection plan and the process we'll follow later tonight. We're also hiring for a utility clerk, an assistant city clerk for utilities. So if you know or anybody in the community is interested, that application is available. You can find it on Indeed.com or our city website, and has a starting pay of $15 an hour. So we hope to get some good candidates for that. Also, because we did not receive the,
Is that a part-time?
it's a part-time position, yeah. Because we did not receive the COPS grant, we do have some extra funds that were kind of set aside to pay for our matching portion of salaries and expenses for that position that freed up. And so I'm working with the interim chief of police to look at getting another officer on board quickly. I know he's talking with some candidates. He might answer questions you have on that later. We're also looking at speeding up our timeline of hiring a director of buildings and planning and building director. So that job announcement.
Enforcement person, kind of.
Yeah, it's somebody who would help with code enforcement. The code enforcement responsibilities in terms of handing out citations would still be done through the police department, but this person would assist in that function. And it would also assist me in coordinating with developers who are interested in entering into development agreements, building code, basically the entire land use regulations, building historical district, subdivisions, zoning, all of those things. That person would be part-time, help us out on that. We had expected to do that hiring action in May, hopefully move that up by a few months and have that. I was hoping to have the announcement out last week, but unfortunately things got away from me and was able to do that. So it'll go out soon. Plan to keep that on the street on our website for.
Excuse me. Does that include flooding, the flood?
It may. So as you know, the officers and employees ordinance, on our previous council meeting approved. It provides the opportunity for those duties to be further delegated. And so my hope is the person that fills that role would have the capacity and ability to get the certification in floodplain management. And that if they're certified, then obviously delegate that as well. And I'll take the mayor. She's, as a volunteer, she's here near 8 hours a day, every day of the week plus, and helping the city manage a lot of those building permitting processes, land use regulations, administration of those sections of ordinances. So with some of the funds that we look to have available in our salaries and expenses through Underburn's COPS grant not coming in, advance that hiring process a little bit faster. So getting that out hopefully soon, closing maybe before the first of the year, and probably before the first of the year, and then I'll be making a selection on that in probably hopefully before Christmas if I can. That's going to be kind of a tight timeline, but plan to put it out for about 2 weeks, close it, and then plan to have somebody start as soon as possible thereafter, depending on their availability. So that's what's going on in terms of hiring activities within the city. The other thing I want to bring to the council's awareness is spent $3,000 on street repair of the intersection at Thomas Drive and Highway 80. That's been a serious problem spot for the city for a while in terms of just potholes, and it has been whack-a-mole for a little while. And we kind of looked into this. There was somebody with some extra hot mix material came by if we could use some on a discount, and we jumped all over that as fast as we could.
Cool.
and got that here.
Good job.
So, I know that was a sore spot, no pun intended, for the people who live over there.
Was the company Asphalt Depot?
No,
Okay.
it was another firm.
Do not get any work done.
Hold on, hold on.
Okay, sorry,
I know, we can't.
okay,
Within the
sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that, I'm sorry.
The next one on the list is the status of the development agreement with the Lanzola group. This is the firm that purchased a significant portion of land north of State Highway 80, next to the Skyview development neighborhood in that open field next to large power lines, and then also purchased land within the city limits adjacent to that on both sides of Highway 80. And some of the investors were involved in purchasing the land and clearing the land next to the river. And so I had an opportunity to meet with them, get a status update on what their intentions were with that land along Northwest River Road that's been subject to land clearing, and the other properties they own, and then get an update on their development agreement. And the areas within the city limits, what they intend to do is available to them based on our regulations, as long as they comply. There'll probably be some demolition involved. They'll have to get a demolition permit. They're likely looking to apply for subdivision. That subdivision application would come in, go through the normal review and approval process through the Planning and Zoning Commission. And they're looking for other ways to use those areas along Highway 80 for their commercial use. That would fall in line with our existing regulations. So that's all good. In terms of the plans, I know we'll hear later tonight regarding a proposal to adopt a tree and brush clearing ordinance, or some of those requirements from the San Marcos River Advisory Committee. On the development agreement side, they are still interested in a manufactured home district of a significant number of units. At this point in the negotiation and our discussions with them, they will be putting together a draft language for that development agreement, and I'll be working with them per our previous city council meetings to get that agreement in a position where it's ready for the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council to look at. So that's been on a pause all summer, but they've restarted that now. I think they've closed their purchasing and figured all that out. So that's all I have for my administrator's report. I do. What's this?
Just announce.
Oh, and yes, we put up on our website, and want to make sure everybody aware that the notice of a deadline to file applications for a place on the ballot is coming up. The notice is given that the election will be held on May 7th, 2022, in the city of Martindale. For the general election, ballot may be filled during the following times. Filing dates start January 19th, 2021 or 2022, and end February 18th. So between the month of January and February, January 19th, February 18th. Office hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So if you want to file to run to be on the general election ballot, please come by city offices. The purpose of the election will be electing the following positions: council member place 1, council member place 3, and council member place 4. Address for to file is City Hall, 409 Main Street, Martindale, Texas, 78655. As part of that, you'll be asked to assign sworn scan of the candidate's application for the ballot may be submitted by email, must be notarized if you're filing by email. And that's the email address to do that through email is ballot-application@martindale.texas.gov. And this was posted on December 2nd. So everybody's aware of that.
So they can pick up applications now.
The deadline is when?
The deadline was February 18th.
You can pick up the applications now, but you cannot submit them until the 19th. And the deadline for submission is this.
Till January 19th.
I mean, sorry, January.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jared. Dwayne, do we have a financial report?
I do have a report. I got an email just before I walked.
Yeah, I got it up.
I did not have time to duplicate it. Doing it this early in the month can be a challenge. But I don't know if you see the email, Jared.
Yeah, I got it here. I'm pulling it. Come on.
So the first report you see up there on the screen is our bank balances. These are as of 5 o'clock today. You see about $23,600 in the general fund. Spent all the street and road fund for the month, as you can see. Court restricted at about 12,000, police training 2856, utility fund 40,274, and deposit fund of 19,966. Still have the 152,000 in the community development fund, totaling 251,429 at First Lockhart Bank, regular demand account. Then we're at the Tex Pool investment. You see our emergency fund has 222,000 in it. And then our Public Fund Investment Act investment account, you see has 230,828. We continue to hold $157,000 of general fund overflow from the prior year. And you'll have to remind me if any of that has been reserved or needs to be transferred, but that is what we have left over.
But that's leftover, we gotten some funding for COVID, right? That's part of that money. Usually we don't have that much
1.7?
money.
Well,
It's all left over from last year.
well, the police car was paid for from other funds, from that COVID fund, largely.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we still are getting money for that, don't we? Getting another check?
No.
No?
No, so there's two funds. There's the COVID relief fund that Dwayne's referencing. That was used, a lot of that funding reimbursed the city for
Police
services.
Oh,
The other fund, in some ways, is related to COVID, but not completely. It's the American Recovery Plan Act,
oh, no, the,
precursor to the infrastructure bill. That's
okay.
If you scroll up, you'll see where we've gotten half of that money. That's what's listed in the community development right there in the 152.
Yeah.
We also have that much more coming as well. And then the last number is the Mountain View, the state. I guess I didn't mention the long-term capital improvement fund. That's how much is left in there. And then the amount for the excess fines, that amount went down about $3,000 this last month. Sales tax revenue continues to be strong, and part of the sales tax revenue goes to pay down that number there. Okay, the next report would be the general fund budget report. We are now 2 months into the year. I did my little percentage earlier, figure out where we should be. I guess I don't have it anymore. 2 divided by 12, 16.7% of the way through the year. You can see we've brought in $37,755 worth of property tax revenue during the first 2 months, so about 10% of the budget. That money continues to come in. Multiple deposits a week we receive from that, and we'll get the lion's share of the money later this month and then next. You see total income, we're at 13.4% of the budget for the year. And it's worth noting, see the sales tax revenue at 21,986. We've already taken in 30% of the revenue through 2 months. So that's, wow, twice expected.
Where's
the first 2
mostly
months.
coming from? What sells?
Well, this time of year, it largely comes, this money that we receive in November was earned in August.
Okay.
So, whatever's going on around here in August.
Summertime more activity.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it.
You see the payroll, we're only at 14% in personnel for the year to date. So that's within plan. The reimbursement from the utility, see the payroll reimbursement from utility, that number's running a little high. And I guess utility clerks are earning more per hour now.
Are we capturing the extra day a week for one of the utility?
I do peel that out. It's $300 a month or something like that. But anyway, that number, we seem to be receiving more on that as well. And then you see the other operating expenses here. The biggest numbers so far are in quarterly payment for property and liability insurance. And then we've got other large percentages.
Software.
Postage is a lot. Look at that. I think that's a couple of months worth in that bill. Okay, I guess you can go, you see the overhead reimbursement as well from the utility. That's running a little bit over too.
Is the park budget, the expense, that's mostly mowing, I guess, 2,170?
Yeah, mowing, garbage pickup, water,
Porta potties,
porta potty.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think we've done any projects really this year.
No, we haven't.
We have a pending project of roughly $3,000 that may hit as regarding phase one.
Phase one,
Getting
with
that
the road.
gravelled in, yeah.
Is that gravel? Yeah.
Road and parking lot. Okay, great.
That task order or contract, if you will, hasn't been made yet, but
Okay.
we're preparing to.
Okay. If you go on down a little further, you'll see contractual things, two largest things in that area, attorney and auditors. And
So uniform expenses was zero. So for the police, we do not supply or clean any of the uniforms?
we do supply uniforms. So,
That might hit on next month. I think we ordered some uniforms that might
Hasn't cleared yet.
hasn't cleared in yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Street maintenance, you see, we spent $6,600 so far year to date. So we're ahead of plan on that, it looks like. And this does include that large, half of that money is for that asphalt.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, roughly. Okay. So you see the contractual services and expenses are 13.5%, so that's tracking well. You see net income, we've brought in more than we spent. So that's a good thing. All right, and the next one would be the general fund expenditures, what we call it. Detail. Last month.
General fund.
Mhm.
I guess the Blue Bonnet bill tends to be higher when the days are shorter and all that, because the Blue Bonnet bill is like $777. I mean,
Is that right?
yeah, I guess, I mean, is that for?
For some reason, I
all?
thought the Blue Bonnet bill was about 1,300. I don't know why I'm remembering.
Oh, this purchase power?
No, it was Blue Bonnet Electric, was 777. Yeah. So that's for like the,
Street lights,
and all of this too?
this building.
Okay.
Guess it's
We
not
had
as
some
much.
light bulbs we had to.
Well, yeah, the
It's an
funny thing is we get about twice as much in franchise fee revenue back from Blue Bonnet as we spend, and like, it's good relationship.
Oh, okay, good.
Michael, we're still paying him to mow Hobson
Yeah.
Ranch.
Not in a while, but yeah, I think that was the last time.
Okay.
He only charges 200.
So he's done for the winter.
All right. Any questions on any of those payments? We'll look at the utility fund next. You see here, our revenue is 53,980. Through the first 2 months, those percentages are in line. One thing I want to point out is line 7080, where it's too early in the month to have the bill for November. So when you look at that net ordinary income, take about $14,000 off of that for another utility bill that we haven't gotten yet. And I could have guessed if I hadn't been in too big a hurry when I did this. But
So we've already got 27% of the budget for the wastewater repair.
Yeah.
Wow.
we did. Okay, and then the next would be list.
Wastewater, I thought it was solid waste.
He's looking at 79.
Oh, 70/90.
And the next is the payments. Bidder payments. So there's the rest of the Blue Bonnet bill. Some of it goes over here to the utilities to run the lift stations and such.
Mm.
That's your payments for last month. And I don't think
That's
I
it.
did a special revenue or the other. There's no activity. Community development. So that is the report. All is well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I had my hand raised because I had a question. It's Sonia. But
Oh, I
maybe
see.
I didn't see my virtual
I see it
hand.
now. I see it now.
I was waiting patiently. I wanted to see on there, the row for the amount that we have in the hardship fund. How
Line
much has
item.
been used and how much do we still have left?
That's gonna be in the utility fund. Hardship write-off budgeted $1,000 spent, 0.
So how much have we used?
None.
0.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh.
Sure. Or no, I guess the judge. I'm sorry. I guess the judge is.
It's up to the court report. Judge Fusco, are you online?
I'm here. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. So we're ready for your report.
Yes, ma'am. Everybody should have a copy of the report in front of them for November. The conviction and OCA reports are current, of course, and I have got a quarterly estimation of our last quarterly payment for the year. I will try and answer any questions anybody might have.
Does anyone have any questions for Judge Fusco?
Can you explain, let's see, collected fines for November of 2020 and 2021? They're almost basically the same. Do you have a reflection on that? I mean, in
they're very close. Yes, that's just entirely a coincidence.
Because in 2020, of course, we were in COVID and the collected fines were less, or it's just a coincidence that it's the
Well,
same.
a lot of things go into those numbers and they are lower than average. I expect that those will be going up shortly, but as you can see, the citations were about the same. It's not just a function of that. I mean, that's just really a pretty big coincidence there. I wouldn't draw any other conclusion from it other than that, other than we're just doing about the same that we were doing last year for whatever reason.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Well, thank you. Y'all have a good evening and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you. Okay, we're ready for the police report.
All right, for the month of November, we had no reportable calls for service. We had calls for service that were public assistance and things of that nature, responded to a structure fire out on West Ridge, actually Westview, and so forth, things of that nature. As the city administrator said, the COPS grant was denied. We learned of that this past month. So it was a little behind, but I'm out there actively recruiting to find a full-time officer as we're looking for these applications coming in, but I'm actually recruiting for persons. Part of the no reportable TFS, been here doing administrative tasks, a lot of administrative tasks, so that whenever a new permanent police chief is found, we can have a seamless turnkey operation and they can come in and keep moving forward with everything's done. Part of that is TCIC access and DPS access to certain databases, such as just access up there, okay, because there's some end of year reports that are required here coming up pretty soon. The Chapter 59 report, racial profiling report, and CJIS report. They're all due here at the end of the year, first of the year, to report to DPS on our stats. So working with getting all that access. Working with the administrator to find funds, as he talked about. So pretty much I'm just rehashing what he said as far as things we're doing. The ordinance violations, the mayor and I have talked, and the city administrator and I have talked. We're going to start issuing warnings for things that we've seen around the city and things of that nature. So we're going to see us out issuing warnings for some of the violations so that people will be aware that, hey, this is a warning, this is what you've done, and we're going to move forward, and hopefully it won't happen again. But if it does, then we'll start going the citation route.
How many warnings you think you're gonna have to give out?
I don't know, we're gonna look at that. I know we don't have a code enforcement guy, but we're gonna start looking at that and try to work together with everyone and say, hey, here's some warnings, here's some things, and we're gonna go out and write these warnings so that people will know. Some people may not be aware that what they're even doing is a violation. So at least give them the warning up front and let them know and things like that. So you'll see in the judge's report, you'll see a lot of warnings that are coming up, but it'll just be like an increase of warning so people will know if that's a violation. What you did was an ordinance violation.
Gotcha.
Because some people may not know.
Okay.
I had a question about the new police vehicle, about the registration of it. Has that been completed?
We're still working with that.
Got an update, yeah, so we had the dealership resend the information that they needed for us to complete the titling and registration. At some point in the process, it was misplaced. We got that back from them, and we sent it back. I think we sent it back yesterday or,
Yeah, I took
So we're not
FedEx
using it.
yesterday.
so it was an overnight,
We haven't used the card yet.
No.
should be soon.
It's been almost a month. We've already had to do a monthly payment. We got to use-
Well, bought in cash.
It's not registered, so we don't want to put it on.
Oh,
the
that's
road.
right. I forgot.
Yeah.
It's probably not right for our people's expectations for having an unregistered vehicle. We're not registered.
Yeah, oh, I know. I don't expect you to drive.
Any plans, or I know you can maybe tell us about the effectiveness of having a police car with nobody in it sitting along the road. We do have the two vehicles in the back here, a couple of flat tires, just taking up space in the carport. Do we have a plan for those other two vehicles?
We looked at that. We're probably looking at probably selling those vehicles and just getting rid of them so we can get some stuff, some equipment for them, for our other vehicles, and possibly get a vehicle. We'll look at that long term. I think putting one out there could be effective as long as we're able to move it quite frequently. If you leave it in one spot, you know, people realize that happens and they vandalize it and so forth, and then we're out more money.
But we may have to buy some new tires.
Yeah.
We may, I mean, we may be able to take it over there, see if there may be something small in it or a small leak and be able to take it to the tire company and for a small fee, get them fixed.
Yeah, we're looking at possibly selling them off, auctioning them off. There's a lot, we received a lot of good equipment in the past through grants and things. But there's some other additional investments that we'll likely need in the police department with computers, radio equipment especially. And there's some other things that those funds could be, in addition to what we have budgeted, could go and provide some immediate value, I think. So we're looking at what it's going to take to strip them correctly and auction them off and how that all works. And yeah.
In your professional opinion, do you think that's effective having a decoy?
I mean, it could be, sometimes it is if there's a lot of traffic, like, for example, this past, you see the ticket numbers are down, but Highway 80 was really extremely busy during the holiday season. It's really hard to go out there and run traffic on that. You can be visible and try to be a deterrent, but there was just so much traffic lined up, you can't turn around safely. We don't want to get into a crash out there trying to turn around on somebody that's just speeding a little bit faster than somebody else and get into a crash. That defeats the purpose, and then we lose a vehicle.
Has there ever been any studies done with decoys, how effective it is?
I do not know the answer to that.
I mean, what is that car worth? I mean, on an auction block, one of those vehicles,
It just depends on what someone's willing to pay for it.
$1,500 or
Not
something.
probably more than that.
Couple.
It's an interceptor vehicle, so
I mean, it would be nice to know how effective a decoy is, because, I know human nature. If I see a police car, I'm gonna slow down.
I can reach out to Austin Police Department. They've been doing the decoy system for a long time. I can ask them what their
Okay,
crime prevention people, I can ask them.
okay.
And like the chief mentioned, if you leave the car out and it's not being moved around, it could be vandalized. And we may need to be fully resourced from a staffing perspective in order to effectively use it. Because we just given the challenges we face with our staffing.
Put a dummy in there. Mannequin.
Yeah, until the high school kids realize they can go down there and get some street cred for tagging it, spray paint.
I guess we get that information from Austin. And we could put that in the formulation anyway.
Yes, I will ask.
I think a 2001 article from the DOJ.
Got one last question. I know a Martindale citizen seemed concerned
2001?
about Blue
Yeah.
Santa and how the collection of that possibly did or did not proceed as compared to other years. or-
Okay, I received an email from a citizen asking about that. I sent them back an email and gave them my phone number to call me. I have not received a phone call back on
I
that.
wasn't.
However, I will explain that to y'all one-on-one, not in this forum, about how it should work. I'll explain that at a later time.
So
Okay,
for
thank you.
historical perspective, we did not do Blue Santa last year with COVID.
Okay,
So this is, it's not like this is the first year that hasn't been done.
okay.
Move on.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you
Tommy.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
I have a question.
Oh, just a moment.
Hang on,
Sonia,
Yeah,
yes.
we can't see you.
hang on.
Yes, Sonia.
We can now.
I wanted to know, like, did we get a blotter? And, like with what's been going on in the packet?
Did not do a blotter, no ma'am.
Not this time.
And
You
so
did
is that
something
something
last
that, as a city council, that we're not wanting to do anymore? Or did we do away with that and I just miss it?
It's not something.
What,
There was never, there has been no requirement imposed on Chief Ward to do that. But if the council wants to, it can either do it through a resolution or the mayor or the manager, administrator can ask that it happen and it can be provided.
Cause I just wasn't sure, cause I know that, our previous chief, how each, meeting, we would have like a blotter and what happened in the community and, it was kind of helpful because we knew kind of like what was going on and, in citizens' comments when we had, Miss Irma come up and talk about, her father's, stuff getting stolen, usually if it was reported, we could just kind of cross-verify on the blotter. So I just wasn't sure if I missed something or we just weren't doing that anymore but it just looks like we're doing it different and that's okay.
That can be put on a future agenda as a discussion item.
Yeah, I think you had something written last.
I only have my notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
It's like we had something printed up one time. Were your first? No? Okay,
I think he mentioned at the start of his report, they had nothing,
yeah.
no significant, yeah,
Yes.
no reportable calls for service. So
Yeah.
that might play into the as well.
okay. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna move on to board and commission reports. Historic Commission, we haven't heard from Craig,
No.
none from him. And Parks, we haven't heard from the Parks Department.
Park.
I just gave her the information that I had compiled, the tax ID number, the playground equipment sources, and all that. So I'll be discussing that with her this week. And then
Oh.
she'll get a meeting started.
Okay,
Okay.
and do you have anything?
Yes,
on-
we probably need to call a zoning meeting maybe next Tuesday for the West Ridge project. There's some issues that we need to discuss. Would Tuesday work for y'all? Tuesday.
Lisa and Sonia, can you meet next Tuesday for planning and zoning?
Next week I can.
Okay, so today is Sunday.
Lisa, Lisa, I don't think your response came through.
That would be the 14th.
Yes, Tuesday is fine.
December 14th. And Jan, can you meet on the 14th?
I don't know at this time.
I think I can.
Okay, so we would have a quorum, it sounds like.
Okay,
Okay,
14th
so
it is.
will you be getting an announcement
Yeah,
ready to post?
yes.
Okay. All right, and so for the River Board, Joy has sent in your packet, there is a paper from Joy Youngers. Joy, are you online? I don't think she is. Yes. Joy, would you like to speak to your report, or do you want me to read it?
Yes. She's.
Here I am. Here we go. I misunderstood and I submitted a recap of our annual activities. So there's really nothing new except for the two items that are further on in the city council agenda for this evening. So I'll just reserve those comments for now unless you have any questions about other stuff.
But what,
No, we'll wait until we get later on later in the meeting.
Any questions on the report itself?
Yes,
I know.
does any council members have any questions on the report that is in your packet?
This doesn't look like the one that I read.
We'll make sure that it gets.
It's about the dark sky and
Well, I read that one. No, this
then
one.
the erosion along the river and
Well,
stuff.
she did I read like an annual report,
Yeah,
Yes,
but this isn't it.
yeah,
Okay, so-
that was sent via email from the River Board.
Yeah. Okay.
okay, so we'll move on to number
Thanks for the
7.
report, Joy.
Yes,
You're
thank you,
welcome.
Joy.
Sure.
Mhm.
We'll move on to number 7 for consent items for accounts payable, and there is one set of minutes in your packet from August 17th, 2021. If anyone would like to make a motion. Did you have those minutes?
Where?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I read this one. All right, I make a motion that we accept the accounts payable and the minutes for August 17th, 2021.
Sonia Villalobos, I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And Sonia,
You
yes.
second.
Okay, so the motion carries. We'll move on to number 8, new business. The first one is to review the draft candidate selection plan for the chief of police and to appoint participants of the interview panel. Is it supposed to be to the interview panel?
Sure.
Yeah.
To choose your preposition.
We'll let Jared.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share screen. Each of you have a copy of the candidate selection plan in your packet, and if Lisa or Sonia need me to present it, I can. If you have specific questions regarding any of the appendices later in the document regarding the resume review criteria, the interview questions and those things, I would ask that we reserve, I'm okay with talking about those in a general sense, but if you have specific changes or questions about those items, either reserve them I can address those with you one-on-one, or we go to an executive session just to maintain the integrity of that information as we look and evaluate candidates. So the candidate selection plan basically retells the story of the milestones and plan of action that the city council previously reviewed in September, and lays it out in a paragraph format with a little more additional information. The summary describes what the purpose of the plan is. The initial screening of applicants includes a review of their resumes, followed by a telephone interview. As we discussed that portion of the application review process, candidate selection process in previous city council meetings, there is a desire on behalf of the council to consider appointing members of the council, or possibly people outside of the city council, to serve on a interview panel for those initial telephone interviews. Following those telephone-based interviews, a set of finalists would be selected between the mayor and myself, taking into consideration the input from the interview panel to select approximately 5 finalists. From there, we dive into the background check requirements required by the state, get the signed releases from the candidates themselves that we would need to conduct that, do reference checks and those things. After that's completed, then the city council would participate in an unstructured in-person interview. Following from that, of those finalists, 2 would be nominated to continue to be considered through a public engagement event as was previously described. So I wanted the city council to have a copy of that selection plan available, so you understand what process is being pursued. Includes within that the plan of action and milestones that we previously reviewed, the job description, which was previously reviewed and approved, the recruitment brochure, which the city council reviewed and approved, and then the criteria that is proposed that we would use for evaluating candidates. So unless there's any questions on the selection plan, what I'm asking for tonight is that we determine who would serve on the interview panel. As an initial assumption, it would be the mayor and myself. But if the city council members want to join, and if there's a motion for what that panel could constitute, the personnel that should be on it, that's what we're looking for tonight. If there's no desire to establish an additional panel membership, it would just be done by the mayor and myself. So that's what this agenda item is for.
So what do y'all think? Do you think we need a representative from us to be in there?
Jen, I would just like to say that I think with the mayor and our city administrator, that's enough city representation. And why can we not have a community member?
We could.
We could. That's what we're asking the city council.
I would like to see a community member in there.
Do you have anybody in mind?
Do you know of anybody that would be interested or that we could ask?
I would
Anybody?
think,
Maybe we need to think about it.
I would just say like, if anybody is interested, you could just put it out there on the city website.
Ah, good idea.
Is just say, hey, if you're interested on sitting on a panel for interviews for a police chief, please respond here.
I don't think I want to do that.
You don't want to?
No.
Well, let's just say you could to be selected. Anybody interested to be selected?
So my concern is mostly based on time.
Yeah.
So I would say, I would think Angela Jimenez would be good if she would be willing.
Anybody got any other?
How about Irma?
Irma might be good.
She's already left. Irma might be somebody. I'd say Irma would be good if she's had some.
We also, for the council's consideration, the interim chief of, he may, once a final selection is selected, he may step down from his participation as the active member of our police force and maybe serve as a reserve force member or something to that effect. So if Officer Ward, Chief Ward.
See him.
So if the council wants to include him, I think it would be okay as long as, given the consideration and constraints that he's not selecting his own boss in terms of serving under him in a capacity that would not be appropriate. And basically, he would.
Have his opinion.
He might have to. He would have to resign after the fact.
I don't think there could ever be any problem with that because it is a good process And I think this is a very necessary process to make the right decision. However, regardless of whatever the process is, it's still going to come down to the local government code, and that is, at the end of the day, Mayor Glaze gets the authority, irrespective of whatever happens, what anyone says, what other opinions are provided, Mayor Glaze gets the authority to say, I'm appointing that person. And then it's subject to the council's confirmation. So ultimately, there could never be a scenario where Chief Ward could overstep some boundary. He would simply be a trusted and knowledgeable advisor to the mayor.
I totally agree. He's an expert. I think
I feel like he needs to be.
I think his input would be very beneficial. Like you
I
said,
agree.
you make the decision anyway. We make the decision. I think his input would be valuable. I agree with that.
So do we need
And you have a good
motion?
feel of what this town kind of wants in
So if a motion were to be made, then what I would say is the motion would be that the interview panel consists of the mayor, the manager,
and
the police,
interim chief.
the interim police chief, and up to at least two other individuals of the mayor and the manager's collective determination. So that, what that would do is that would leave an open door for Mayor Jared to appoint two other people to take part. No limitations, could be another city official, could be a resident or residents, whatever they end up deciding.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, and if they don't want, if they can't find
Purely
any good
discretionary.
people because of time restraints, that would be okay
Yeah,
too.
that sounds good.
Okay,
That sounds very
so I'll
reasonable.
make a motion that we have the mayor, the city manager, and the interim chief of police conduct the initial interviews as written up in the candidate selection plan, and for that team to be able to select two additional participants as needed, if needed.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
I just want clarification on when is the part whenever the community members come in?
So the community members participate at least through a public engagement session. And as the candidate selection plan alludes to and our milestones plan alludes to, what that would look like is the two finalists that are chosen would be presented at a social event, social gathering where members of the community could come and meet each of the finalists. And as you'll see in one of the appendices, there's a comment card essentially that they would be able to fill out and provide their feedback to the mayor and the city council regarding what their input would be on those two finalists.
And that's what, it looks like that's around March 26th.
Yeah, that's in the March timeframe.
Well, that actually sounds different, more of a total public forum as opposed to selecting two other members, which was said in the motion.
Right, I was addressing the question as it was framed. When would the public have an opportunity to participate? And this would be basically an open house invitation to members of the public to participate in getting to weigh in on those candidates. Instead of doing it when there's 40, they do it when there's 2.
Yeah. Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, hearing no more discussion, we'll go ahead and take a vote. So, Jan, you made the motion, so your answer would be yes. Mike
Yay.
McLeod,
Yes.
Yes.
Sam.
Yes.
Sam, yes.
Now,
Um,
people that. want
Lisa?
extra vote,
how do you
because we
vote?
don't have quorum unless we have 4 physical people, 3 physical.
Can't hear you.
We couldn't hear you.
Lisa, do you want to put in the chat and just make it so it's public to everyone? Yes, there we
She
go.
said yes.
One other. person
Sonia?
was on Zoom. We
How do
didn't
you
have
vote?
quorum.
I'm gonna vote because like the answer like that was given to me, it's, you know how it's gonna be done in a community forum and then you could turn in your comment cards. I just thought that, you know, it was
Right.
important to have a
Still, I'm
community
not sure
member.
that they really should, I mean, are they able to vote?
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
I could hear, I mean, I don't think anybody was paying attention to what I was saying because there was talking going on.
Sonia, I was. Go ahead, continue.
Okay,
So anyway, I just thought that it was important, like, to have a community member, like, you know, not only like in a community like forum to turn in your comment cards, but just to be a part of the process. So for that reason, I'm a no.
Okay, we have 4 yeses and 1 no, so the motion carries.
While we're still on this agenda topic, through the motion, I have the opportunity to identify 2 people. And so, council members, if you're aware of 2 people that are willing, able, and available to participate, I'm sure the mayor would consider it.
And if
Did you hear that,
there's
Sonia?
any council members that want to participate.
Is that okay, Sonia? Did you hear what he said?
Yes, I heard what he said, but I mean, like you're talking about 2 members at the end or when, Jared?
No.
now,
No, now.
So the motion that was made was for the panel to consist of the mayor, myself, and the interim chief, and the potential for the mayor to add 2 additional members of her discretion. Those 2 members could foreseeably be members of the community if you had one in mind and who's indicated that they're willing, able to participate.
When would someone in that forum need to respond to either you or the mayor?
Toby
as
does.
Probably this week,
Yeah.
through this,
or we'll
Telephone.
probably need to know by Thursday.
Okay.
is that the telephone interviews?
Yeah, well, so the resumes have a soft close, if you will, next week, but we're reviewing candidates as they come in on a rolling basis and reaching out, trying to schedule interviews. Those interviews hadn't been. It's waiting for tonight so we can
Yeah.
finalize who's participating to coordinate schedules
Okay.
and start making the scheduling. Those candidates have been identified as warranting additional consideration.
Is there any council member that wants to participate?
I mean, I would definitely do it, but it's just a work schedule, my work schedule.
I'm a maybe. I'm thinking about it.
We can ask candidates if they're available, because if they also have a work schedule, there's a chance that we'd hold a telephone interview in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I suggest maybe like, Anita Redmond, she's a county judge. When she was here, she's part of the community.
JP.
JP, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
JP, also maybe the judge, you know.
Well, look, we have Mr. Davini right here. We have Joy Jungers and Carlton. Would any of them want to do it? Or any one of y'all? Could you put it in the chat
Anybody
box if
that's
you're
here?
available?
yeah. Get in touch with the mayor tomorrow if you're interested.
When's the deadline, Jared?
That's what I would do.
Yeah, get tomorrow.
No,
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
probably
Just come
by
by the office or something.
Thursday.
Or do you-
Yeah,
Just come by the office.
Thursday.
And Jared,
By 5
is there
o'clock.
any way, like in the motion, because I know it says that potential, but that means possibly yes, or it could be no. Like if it could be amended to say there will be 2 community members appointed, then I could change.
I think we're already past the motion.
Yeah,
We've already
Passed it?
It's
Okay.
already passed.
Well, let me ask, was the intent of the motion to say there will be 2 more members of the committee insofar as there is sufficient interest? That is, if there are people that
Right.
actually want to fill those roles.
Yeah, she said
Yes,
as
as needed.
needed.
Right,
Yes.
I mean,
So it's open.
it's open and those spots will be filled unless people don't come forth.
Right.
Okay, so it'll still happen. And then, okay, so thank you, Mr. Moreno, for putting it in the chat box that depending on timing that you could participate. I appreciate that. Please get in touch with the mayor tomorrow.
And Lisa mentioned she's willing to be on the panel as well.
Thank you, Lisa.
How do you see that in the chat box? I can't see anything.
I have it here. I have to be careful of
Okay.
what I show. Just
Okay.
I don't want to inadvertently give out private information or someone's telephone number or something like that.
Okay, so we're
going to. Motion carries 4-1.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we can't change it now. Okay, we're gonna move on to 8B, to allocate votes for, one or more of the nominees to the Board of Directors for the Caldwell County Appraisal District for the 2022 and 2023 term. So, we, as a council, had nominated Sonia Villalobos to be able to run for the Board of Directors for the Caldwell County Appraisal District. We didn't get this in the packet that you picked up, Sonia, but I'm sure you have it. I think you,
Here we go. I got
I
it.
think you have it. So these are the people that are running for the board. Only 5 of these people will be actually selected. I know that Kathy Hegler and Sonia are already on the board. Sonia, can you tell us who else is on the board currently?
It is Alfredo Munoz, Kathy Hagler, and Sally Daniels.
Okay, so we only have 28 votes. You can see down below that like Caldwell County has 1,669. So I take it, can you tell us a little bit about this board and what you do on the board?
Yeah, it's been a real, eye-opening to be able to see all of the taxing entities, and it's been very informative, like as far as what taxing entities are able to take advantage of. There is Eagle View that we approved to be able, we voted on. So what Eagle View is going to do is takes aerial shots. It's able to get property taxes for communities on possible properties that aren't visible. You'll be able to tax, swimming pools that aren't visible. Another good thing about it is that you're able, as a taxing entity, you're able to ask for a username, and you're able to utilize the Eagle View imaging for emergency services, for for different things, in emergency, like say flooding, or for different things. You're able to access that information. I would say that some of my proud accomplishments of being on the board is like none of the documents were in Spanish for Spanish speakers. So I was able to advocate for those that do speak Spanish and needed forms. Also, I was able to advocate and suggest and help write a mission statement. And also just was a part of conversations about cultural awareness. So I would think that, the time that I spent on there, was, we were also able to help the employees there through a business to look at and audit their pay scale. Like the workers hadn't gotten a raise, it had been like years. So we were also able to, advocate for that also. So it's been really good. I've been learning a lot, and it's been nice.
So this board doesn't just set tax rates for property taxes?
No.
It's doing a lot of other stuff.
Yes, a lot of other stuff you have to do. a lot of research. You have to like look at the minutes. I mean, you know, there was taxing entities that had a zero or they weren't coded. So that means they're not actually collecting property tax for some of those areas. So it's, you know, also advocating to find out and dig and see who does actually own those areas. I know that when we were trying to find out about the triangle, there was always, well, does it belong to the city? Does it belong to, you know, who? So I know that we've worked with them hand in hand and trying to figure out some of the stuff that we had going on here in Martindale, as well as in Luling and all that. This board does not actually set the tax rates. That comes from the comptroller. So, you know, we go about a whole bunch of things, do a whole lot of things.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I don't know exactly what this board does. I'm listening to Sonia, but it sounds very interesting.
Think of it as a city council overseeing the appraisal district.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good way to put it.
So,
Okay.
so who's in charge
So
of casting these 28 votes?
So we have to decide who we want to cast them for. You don't have to cast them all for the same person, but we only have 28 votes. So I suggest that we cast them for Sonia.
I totally agree.
So if somebody wants to make a motion, then we can get this back to the right place tomorrow.
I'll make a motion that we that the city of Martindale gives 28 votes to Sonia for the
Okay.
election board of directors.
And is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Is there any
Do
more
you want it,
discussion?
Sonia?
Yeah.
You like this position?
Yes, I do. I just feel like it's, you know, also important, just always, whenever you could have a diverse, you know, group of people sitting at the table that, you know, amazing things could get accomplished. So it's been a blessing. Thank you. And I'm going to recuse from voting.
You don't have to.
Oh, you don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
I don't have to?
No,
Everybody
You
wants
have
to
to
have
vote for
to.
you.
You can vote.
So we have a motion and a second. Everyone in favor of giving the 28 votes to Sonia, please say aye.
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 And Lisa?
Thank y'all.
Aye.
Lisa votes yes.
Okay. so the
Unanimous.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And thank you, Sonia, for doing this.
Thank y'all.
Mhm.
Sonia V for you and me.
Yay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to 9A, to review the recommendations from the San Marcos River Advisory Committee regarding a dark sky ordinance like the one in the city of Blanco. And now we can ask Joy.
Yep, she should be
Yep.
ready to go.
I'm here. I'm trying to turn.
Basically, as far as the dark sky issue, the committee has respectfully requested that the city council support dark sky initiatives. As an example, we have submitted Blanco, Texas's ordinance. And the reason for this request is basically that 80% of Americans today have never seen the Milky Way. Plants and animals depend on the Earth's daily cycle of light and dark to govern their life-sustaining behaviors such as reproduction and breeding, nourishment, sleep, when to hunt, protection from predators and whatnot. Nocturnal animals are obviously heavily affected, as well as migratory birds and wildlife that depend on seasonal cues to govern their behaviors. Nighttime artificial light can disrupt circadian rhythms and melatonin production, causing sleep disturbances in people, as well as increasing risks of other issues such as obesity, depression, diabetes, etc. It's wasteful for energy, and poorly shielded outdoor lighting actually causes glare and decreases our visibility of potential dangers at nighttime. And so for those brief explanations, we have submitted that recommendation.
So I have a question. Has anybody reached out to the city of Blanco to see if their electric co-op is cooperating with them on their outdoor lighting? Like if people request to have a dark sky friendly lighting street light, for example. If they had much, I don't know who their electric co-op is in Blanco. Is it, what is it?
PEC.
PEC.
I don't know the answer to that. We haven't reached out to them.
Joy, are you aware that we, don't we have like a resolution to try to work on dark sky? I know Sonia has been working on this. She had suggested using the, I think the Wimberley has been, there was some kind of commendation that Wimberley had. I don't know if you've seen their ordinance. This one looks awfully detailed.
You should have seen the other one.
I don't know. Sonia, you have Sonia muted.
I know she's
I would
working
like
on
to-
that
Oh,
too.
there she is.
I'm right here.
Yeah,
so-
I'd like to hear your comments about this.
Yeah, I know that whenever I had proposed it, as a resolution, I would have liked an ordinance, but I think like with anything with ordinances, then you also have to, enforce. And that's something that you're gonna, that's an imposed, pretty much will sanction it for building or whatever you're doing. So would I like an ordinance? Yes, I would. Would that be, just more work for, coding and enforcement and everything. So I think to just get our feet wet is why we did a resolution. I know that with talking with Bluebonnet Electric, I know that on their website, they didn't have anything about dark sky initiatives or dark sky friendly, but I know I got into a conversation with the gentleman and they do have light poles that they can change the lighting in there to accommodate dark sky friendly communities. So that's something that we can do already. But like, I would also like an ordinance. I think Wimberley had a pretty good one, but I think a cross between, this one and that one, just something to fit our community would be good. And I would like to thank Joy and the River Committee for bringing it up.
Yeah, I know we're all for some kind, at least I know I am.
I'm definitely for it because the development's coming big time.
Yeah,
And if we could do an ordinance and especially for new development, and if we could work with Bluebonnet specifically, like for example, look at the San Marcos River Ranch. They have dark sky. If you look at their street lights, they definitely are dark sky friendly. And I'd say the more development we have in this area, the more light pollution we have. I think an ordinance would be a great thing.
right. And aren't we looking at a grant to kind of help us with some kind of soft lighting for what? Is it just for our streets or is it just downtown?
What was the question?
It was a grant.
Oh, yeah, we were looking at historic.
Oh, for the historic district,
Mhm.
okay.
I just recommend everybody go
But
look, just go look at the San Marcos River Ranch. What they do over there, they do a really good job of their streetlights.
All right, I would not mind having some kind of ordinance, but I'd like to see it pared down. Yeah, to maybe streetlights and businesses. Some of this is really specific and
Well,
No.
it's highly,
That's how an ordinance is.
it's highly technical.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's what makes it enforceable is having those technical characteristics.
That's exact, well, so
Yeah.
the way all of these work is all lighting is grandfathered in, subject to one of two things. When the light bulbs are changed, they must meet the new requirements, or in the alternative,
Mhm.
the light bulbs must be changed by a date certain in the future. And then what you have is so many types of lighting that could conceivably be used within a city. Everything from the floodlight on the lamppost to
Your porch light.
to to Carlton's twin lights out there that look real nice. And so ultimately, there's not only standards for brightness, but also the warmth or lack thereof of the lights, because we have a very warm white light that we can see out on the street now, as opposed to a cold white light. But that's what these ordinances do, is they walk through, like Jared mentioned, and they specifically define what is allowable in terms of brightness and warmth for each specific type of lighting, and then by what date those
Yeah.
lights must be changed.
Yeah, but a good 4 or 5 pages of this
Street lights,
are
I
the
mean,
clauses.
outdoor recreation lights, and, it would be kind of nice, especially if we're gonna be getting a lot of development, but, so I can see why you're suggesting that.
So basically, this is a good template
Yes, it
for
is.
us to go with.
No, it's not a bad template. It's just a matter of what the city wants to see.
Mhm.
I mean, this is actually is quite permissive. And it allows for almost any conceivable light source. It does not restrict the, backlit type light, signs or other things. It just sets standards in which all signs must comply. You could shortcut that in some ways by outlawing certain type of signage, as an example. So in that sense, you could cut down on it, but then you're also, you have somebody, well, why can't I backlit my sign if I'm a restaurant or something? So,
Well,
there's trade-offs in that.
Well, I mean, just the resolution, I think, kind of helped with the new business that.
What the resolution won't do is ensure that Martindale's a night sky town.
the ordinance.
Okay, all right, so what I would suggest is that we put it as a future item.
This is just a
Working out an
discussion
ordinance.
thing.
Yes, I know, but
Okay.
I'm just suggesting that,
I'll-
I don't want to drop this subject.
All I will say is everybody go over to the San Marcos River Ranch, and that is dark sky lighting.
Okay.
It's a huge difference. It really makes a huge difference. And
Okay,
I mean, we're losing on our sky. And I think it's important that we come up with some
go
sort
ahead
of
and look at
ordinance.
it, okay.
So, okay.
What do you think, Darren?
Yeah, I think this is a great template to work off of. Where this gets placed in Blanco is within their development code. For us, that's our land use regulations. So it get tucked in as like a chapter 156, 157. And then we'd likely use whatever penalties are applied to, zoning or.
So we need to kick this over to P and Z first.
Okay,
I would probably be a good approach for them to consider it, endorse it for the council.
So then,
It wouldn't necessarily be a zoning,
but
thing, but it'd be part of the land use regulation package.
if it's gonna fall under that chapter, then we're gonna have to kick it over to them and get their recommendation. Yeah, of course.
you can add it to your agenda, Mike.
Next week.
Can we add it on the 7th? I'm sorry, next week, next Tuesday?
On the 14th?
Yes.
Sure, why not? Sure, why not?
Are you writing
Thank
up
you,
the
Mike.
agenda?
You're welcome.
Yeah, there's this one lighting curfews where the lighting outside, such as Allen Bates Park, would be turned off when no one is present to use the light. So we would have to have a switch there for those outdoor lights.
You can
Or you make
change
it
that if you think you
sensor.
need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is somebody else's idea.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're
This
gonna,
is someone else's.
we're gonna review it,
Yes.
read it, and then talk about it on the.
Yes. It would
Or
take,
even read the, Wimberley one.
yeah,
Use
so we
that.
can compare.
Wimberley one was
And compare
shorter,
it.
Yeah.
is what she was saying.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to
Perfect.
9B. To
Thanks, Joy.
review recommendations from the San Marcos River Advisory Committee regarding a tree and brush clearing ordinance to control pollution, erosion, and sedimentation, especially where riverfront properties are concerned.
I
Go
I
ahead.
didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't submit any specific models or anything for that ordinance, except that at a minimum, we should follow the TCEQ rules as far as land and tree and brush clearing. And basically, anything an acre or more needs to be permitted by them until we have our own ordinance. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Tree and
Joy,
brush
I think
clearing.
upon speaking to Jared about this, I think the only ordinance that we have is in regards to removing homes or structures in the floodway. I don't think we had one for clearing brush.
We don't.
We don't, but apparently the only one we have is when you need to clear a structure out of the floodway. So yes, I would like to see this pursued upon seeing what has been done recently in our vicinity of our city.
I agree, and more than one kayaker has approached me about the silt, getting into the river, and there's no silt control still. So,
I saw a marginal amount of silt erosion stuff installed on a certain property that has just done a bunch of clearing. But it was
Okay.
just only one small portion of that whole amount that they cleared, which apparently looks like acres and acres that were cleared.
So you're just talking about flood debris being cleared?
No.
I'm talking about clearing
land
river
clearing.
bottom.
It's like, it's,
Cut clearing.
it's clearing and grading, right? Is what exactly happened. So what that does for the environment, there's no root structures that were in there into place. So it affects like everything, all from the microorganisms that are there to the fish to the, everything. So I think it is very important that we have, we need to look at it and to do some type of ordinance for it.
So in other words, what you're asking for is an ordinance that essentially takes these TCEQ standards and says, no removal shall occur unless it meets these standards.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that, okay, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, Joy? That would be good.
Yes, if you want to go more stringent, that's fine, but at a minimum, I think that we should have these TCEQ standards at least in place, or at least be ready to refer homeowners that want to disturb soil like this, refer them to the appropriate places.
And so then like us right now as a city, if we wanted to call TCEQ and say, can you come over here and look at what's being done? Because maybe this could be a teachable moment for the city, and they could either say, yeah, this was good what they did, or they could say, no, this is not what should have happened. So to me, it's not a good thing the way it was totally, stripped. But then, Is there any way that we could call TCEQ just to come look?
From what I understand, somebody from the public has done that.
Have they had any luck with the response?
Somebody from TCEQ came out and they are generating a report and recommendations for the property.
Oh, they are. Oh, that'd be great.
To the property.
So
Well,
it is
what-
happening, Joy?
What's that?
It is happening?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but the private sector is having to do it instead of the city.
And it's a little late.
Yeah.
Yeah, who will be getting a copy of that report? Do you know, Joy?
I will be getting a copy and I can forward that to you.
Great,
Okay.
that'd be perfect. That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Forward it to the whole council if you
The
don't
whole
mind.
council, yeah.
What should they have done different? Do you know?
They should have gone to TCEQ from the get-go and submitted a permit, and part of that permit application would have involved their, them having a plan in place for erosion and sediment control.
That, I'm gonna have to look into it further. The TCEQ website talks about permits for industrial or construction. And I have to better understand what the definition of construction activities of what they're using. Because I'm not sure if clearing brush qualifies as a construction activity.
Are you saying that there's clearing that is occurring on what is effectively known as the state side of the gradient boundary?
No. Oh, well, actually, there might have been, but I'm talking about just strip clearing property, taking any tree or shrub less than, say, 6 inches in diameter. They're leaving no ground cover whatsoever so that the ground there is susceptible to erosion. And most of that ground clearing that I'm thinking of was done on a slope, a steep slope. So, you know, the chances of erosion are large.
Within what proximity to the navigable body of water?
Up against it.
Up against it.
I mean, like, how adjacent are we talking about?
Up to the bank.
actually in the river.
Into the bank.
Okay, so it was actually not on the private property, but within
The state,
a navigable body of water belonging to the state.
you're correct.
Adjacent.
Yes.
So here's the navigable body of water.
Uh-huh.
The short ends, the land is privately owned.
Uh-huh.
From there,
Right,
it was cleared down to the water's edge.
down to, but not within the water.
Yes,
Right.
Okay,
almost to the water, yes.
almost,
within
to
a
the
foot.
water. Okay.
It was in the gradient boundary.
But they also took a lot of garbage out of there. Tires and tin and all kinds of garbage they took out.
Got it.
So I think
But it
there
wasn't
just wasn't any ground, once they took off the brush, there just wasn't grass.
Well, there's no small trees or small bushes there, as Joy mentioned, that were cut to the ground or shredded. And so those bushes could have been killed, which would make more erosion occur because of so much foliage
I see what you're
was
saying.
killed within the river bed itself.
So it's for Kent, this, here's the TCEQ website. Stormwater discharges from large construction activities. There's a general permit that they publish that this might fall under. And all of this is references the chapter 26 water code.
Okay.
That's where it's being, it's back to the statute, that's where it's coming from. And I'm not sure of how this general permit fits together. If this general permit is done under the Clean Water Act for the state, and then a specific activity obtains a permit under a specific permit under this general permit, and that's how it kind of flows through, or how that all works. But that's what it appears to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can look into it.
Okay, is there any more discussion on this topic?
I just wanted to add that basically, I know that it's already been done, but right now is a time, like I said, that we could learn from it. It's a teachable moment. We need to find out what we need to do in order to be able to protect Martindale with development that's going to be coming through. And basically it comes down to, wanting, subdivisions, and we working with people who are going to be good stewards of the land, because that's what it all boils down to, is being a good steward.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, well, as we get into it, this again would be part of our land use regulations, most likely, as a regulated land use, either under the building sections or as it deals with construction activities, or as a separate chapter in its own. So I don't know, I don't think we'll be prepared to discuss it at any great length at our next meeting, but this would be something that the Planning and Zoning Commission could take up.
Well, at a minimum, if they're for their own good, they should be planting grass, some sort of put seeding out, at least in ryegrass or something, clean that brush up so they can at least plant grass to get vegetation to grow. I mean, I don't know if we can force them to do that, but for their own good, they need to
I
plant
don't
something.
think we can
We
force
can't,
it.
we can't enforce them, but if we have a major flood, we will lose some topsoil.
Yeah.
So, but we don't have anything that would be good practice for anybody. Developers too.
I'm surprised they clear down to the river like that. 'Cause that's not land you can build on.
Well, some people might want their lawn to extend to the river's edge.
Yeah.
Increase the value, keeps the size of the lot,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably would look like the
will,
lot's
Till,
bigger.
till it erodes away in the next flood.
Well, but if.
They
if
need to
you're
be
right,
educated, it sounds
If we
like,
did have
or
some kind of
the-
ordinance,
a lot of
then we would have known what the intent of them, what they were intending to create or do by doing that amount of clearing. I mean, part of Northwest River Road, between the Northwest River Road and the river, is not in the floodway. So conceivably, they could build homes right on adjacent to the road there. And then the homes
Well-
would look down
so
onto
any-
the river, and it would be more appealing for those people that would build homes there.
Any vertical construction that takes place is going to be subject to our flood damage prevention ordinance.
correct?
And it also would have to go through all the building permit process. So
Setback.
that's what would kick off within our existing ordinances regulating. The unknown that I was not aware of, and I don't believe anybody here tonight was probably aware of, is if they're doing construction activities on a plot of land that's bigger than 5 acres, and that includes brush clearing, that they need to go and get a permit under TCEQ. That's a TCEQ process. So I think that, like we mentioned earlier, this is a learning process. We can get an ordinance in place to ensure that future city officials are able to impose that.
Make sure they get that, they have the right.
And possibly can find a template from another city to use
Okay.
also.
Maybe, yeah.
Like you hear, Joy, you hear that? Maybe we can get a template from another city on that.
Yeah.
Brush clearing. Okay. Something to go by. Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joy.
You bet.
Good things to think about.
Okay, there's a list here for future items. Does anybody have anything else to add to it?
I really would like a police blotter for the next meeting. I don't know what we have to do. I just found those that were just so helpful and just kind of gave us an idea of what was happening in the community. So I would like to do whatever we have to do to get a police blotter.
I agree.
Okay, do we want to include the outdoor lighting ordinance? Do we want to put that discussion, the discussion item?
It's going to be on your agenda.
That's gonna be,
So,
we'll put it on this one after we talk about it in the.
Oh, the one coming up, we can do that Tuesday.
Zoning. Let's talk about planning
yeah,
zoning.
B and Z will refer that to council and then
Yes.
council can make the decision.
Okay.
And did we want to further discuss this tree and brush thing or just look into?
It'll be on a future planning and zoning commission agenda.
Okay.
How about a discussion, since we did hear some concerns from citizens about the speed limit on 1979, to reach out to TxDOT or start a discussion on reducing the speed limit from the 1979 bridge to 35 miles an hour instead of.
It is
40.
35.
It's 45 when you come off, when you cross over the bridge, it's 45. But then when you get closer to Southeast River Road, then it becomes 35. So I don't know if we want to have a discussion about that too.
They did, TxDOT did a complete traffic study from, I think it was 621, or they're close, or at least within city limits, from the river to the stop sign. And we can pull that report and provide it to council members if they're interested.
Because I had mentioned that before, and since we are trying to improve phase one, and then we'll get more visitors there, that it would seem that it would make sense to try and get that speed limit reduced as soon as possible, or at least start the process.
But I think
on
once we
getting it
get
reduced.
more law enforcement, permanent law enforcement, we'll be able, can be policed better. You know, so.
Okay.
One of the items that dropped off the future agenda items that was previously on here is the golf carts ordinance. It was going to be on tonight's agenda, but we moved it off because we thought it was going to go long. But I have a draft ready for review, and we can do it at a council meeting in January. I'll send out the draft as is, and if you have track changes, send it to me directly, and I can incorporate everybody's individual changes and present what the consensus, what I believe the consensus might be.
Okay.
For golf cart regulations in St. Louis.
Okay, yeah,
So we got homework.
that may be easier.
Send us an email.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
email.
Okay.
Did you say go?
Are we gonna try and talk about the hotel motel tax again, or is that gonna be a workshop later in the year, or?
We just hadn't gotten to it yet.
We're
That's
just
gonna-
adding
that's-
things
that's
we
a big
want
one.
to do right now.
Yeah.
Oh, new things.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Anything else? We're good. Okay. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
But is there?
Lisa says yes.
Okay, good.
She says yes.
Property.
Poor
We were
thing.
talking about doing that process
She's
of,
not,
or do we
she
need
either
to
has a bad connection or a
make a
voice
discussion with
going
council about
out
putting you
again.
on that project?
Finding out if we can.
Yes.
Yes, sure. Uh-huh.
Do a trespass for title.
And y'all, White Dog is out in the middle of nowhere.